Hey, Rolling 20 fans, this is G, and I'm here to tell you today about a new sponsor for our show, Casey's Irish Pub. This is an honest-to-God Boston or Chicago-style Irish pub located in downtown Los Angeles. They serve cooked food, 11 kinds of beer, and 49 different Irish whiskeys from 3 different distilleries. What does that mean? That means if you're looking for a good drink during a Los Angeles convention, you don't have to go far. If you're headed to Los Angeles for E3, Kamikaze, Anime Expo, the Los Angeles Car Show, or one of the hundreds of events happening near the Staples Center, then a good meal and a glass of Guinness is just a short walk away. Jeremy, the loud guy who won't shut up when we do our own podcast, he actually ate there during the last Anime Expo. And he said this. Forgive me if I don't sound like the guy. I went to Casey's Pub looking for a place to bring people for a good night of food and found it when I was driving people on my way back to the Los Angeles Convention Center. We went back and I had the best steak pot pie in my life down there. My wife had a good whiskey to sip, and 8 of us had fun talking and eating in a place that looked like it belonged in a movie. Casey's just a couple of blocks from the Westin Bonaventure. That means it's close to one of Anime Expo's own shuttle stops. We're even hosting a photo shoot there during the 2014 Anime Expo. If you want more details on that, email us at mspfreight@yahoo.com. Hey, so do yourself a favor. And don't stock up on bad beer and try to mix something sitting at the desk of your hotel room. Ride the elevator, get off at the Bonaventure, and walk to Casey's Irish Pub to get some drinks by their bartenders. Make some new memories and have some fun. We want to see you there.
Hello, everybody. This is Anthony Beyond from Mission Start Podcast, and we have a special episode of the Conover. If you listened to last week's Conover episode, we talked about Long Beach Comic Expo with Jeremy, and this week we have 2 special guests joining me tonight. For those who don't know, you guys run it's a small thing called something Think NU, I think is what it's called. Something to that nature. I own a kid, but introduce yourselves and tell us where you're from.
Hi, my name is Calvin. I'm the creative lead of Think New, and with me is Aloria.
Hi guys, nice to meet you. I guess I do more cosplay things on Think New, but I also help Calvin do, help out in real life activities whenever we're at cons, just to interact with those who recognize us and come up and say hi.
Awesome. Thank you guys for joining me tonight on this podcast. So the first thing I have to ask is, how did the name Think That In You came about?
Okay. Well, that started on my end. Aloria didn't join me until after I finished university. The concept of Think New came out in my 4th year of university, like when I had a lot of free time on my hands, and I was pretty well known on campus as like a graphic designer and a photographer. And the idea was a bunch of us who had media skills would collaborate together on these projects for student organizations. But we essentially treated it like we wanted to use it as a resume booster, and we didn't want to be called Society of Student Graphic Designers or something like that. So we came up with this name Think New to make it sound like we were fancy, and if it showed up on a resume, they'd think we were some kind of fancy company. So we thought the idea, it looked cool on paper, so we gave it that name. And then after I graduated, I just used it as a portfolio piece. And eventually, as it started growing, I started uploading more of my content, and we started gaining more followers. And then, one day it kind of just blew up with the cosplay comics.
Wow, so essentially this name of your Facebook was something you wanted to
to lie to employers, essentially. Yeah. We wanted to make it sound like we were some fancy like new age like tech like startup, but we were really just like a bunch of guys with too much free time on our hands in our final year of university.
That is great. That is awesome.
So
yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, and we spelled in new. The reason why I spelled new, there's no deeper meaning to that. We just thought it looked cooler and sounded like it seemed cooler as like a name instead of spelling it N-E-W. So
Right.
yeah.
And, you know, you're not alone. Like, there's definitely some companies out there who have like some weird names that are definitely out there and people recognize today for sure.
Yeah.
How did the idea of making the Facebook? I mean, like you already explained it, but like, how did you kind of react to just like the explosion of just like love and support of the Facebook page?
Well, like the other thing behind the Facebook page is the original team in university. Like most of them, they've moved on, and it was only me really managing the page. But none of us had any like web design skills, and none of us could code.
Ah, I see.
But we needed a way to create like a platform so that we could show this off on our resume. So we created a Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there wasn't any real particular business idea in mind. Like when we chose to make a Facebook page, it was just an easy thing for us to quickly make and just put on our resumes. When it exploded, like we didn't really expect it to go that way. It was a huge surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But then as that's sort of when I started taking it a bit more seriously, and I started realizing I need to bring more people onto my team, especially who are people a lot more familiar with the cosplay scene because I was so new into it. And I met Eloria at a few events, and she and I became good friends. So I asked her if she wanted to help me out with this thing, and then quickly, like, our team grew to add a few more members, and that's where we're kind of today.
What was like?
I think.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna add that when I first met Calvin too, I thought it was really easy to get to know him because after seeing some of the comics and work that he's done, I feel like he really understands as a cosplayer what we have to go through before a con, during the con, after the con, and we could share a lot of good laughs about things that's happened to us. So I think a lot of followers on the page can kind of relate to that aspect where comics are a really genuine way of expressing some of the frustration, some of the happiness that we've all experienced during this hobby.
Mm-hmm. Much agreed. Much agreed. What was like after you guys finally like realized like how this was exploding? Like, did it hit you like a day, 2 days? Like, how long did it finally hit you to realize like, wait, we're onto something here?
For me, it was pretty much instantaneous. Like, Shelly was already helping me with the photo angle of Think New, with doing my photography.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I didn't really focus on the comics. They were just kind of like a side thing I used to like, poke fun at my teammates when they were like stressing out by their cosplay. I actually like remember exactly, like I was in a cafe and I just posted my latest comic, to make fun of them. And I think a few other cosplayers started sharing it, and it got really big. That's when it started getting viral and getting momentum. And like I noticed my phone going off like constantly, and then it was at that moment I realized this was like we've gotten a few like maybe 3 or 4 or 10 shares from previous comics, but this one was actually like kicking it up to like triple digits easy. I remember we were at like I forget what the number was. We were at like 300 likes. So I'm like, wow, this could get big. We might get like 500 likes, And then, so I think like that, I didn't sleep that night. I cranked out like 50 comics. I was doing them pretty much daily, like almost tri-daily, I think, in the first week.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, like I was so excited about hitting 500, and then by the end of the week, I think we hit like 3,000 almost.
Wow.
So it was at that moment I realized this was something we need to buckle down and sit down and like look at. Up till then, thinking it was just something we're doing fun on the side. Was at that point I like sat down and go, guys, let's see if we can take this like a step further and see how far we can go.
Wow, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
What was initially the comic that kind of like got the ball rolling? Like, if you can pinpoint which one directly, which one was it?
It was like the very first comic. It's when I started like trying to standardize it. I remember it was like the I think it's like cosplay is endurance. It had a picture of Iron Man on it in like the Mark Zero armor. It also had a picture of Arcade Sona. I think it's that combination of Iron Man and League of Legends that it was so easy to share.
Mm-hmm.
That and eventually a few cosplay like one of the cosplay groups, League of Legends cosplayers, they like shared so much of my content, and a lot of big name cosplayers frequent that page too. So I got really lucky with that. But yeah, I still remember that drawing that. But yeah, you're going?
Honestly, like I do remember that day where your stuff started going viral, and as you know, time went on, I saw more of your comics. Like it definitely does relate to cosplayers. As a cosplayer myself, like there's definitely some of my I definitely agreed. Like I think 90% of them on.
That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So hang on a minute. So, like, was there any, like, when you started the Facebook page, was there any influences that others you looked at before starting it, or was it just kind of just like throwing whatever at the wall until it sticks? Like, yeah.
Trying to think in terms of that. I don't know. I knew right away I wanted to do this as a team effort, mainly because, like, one, I find I work better in a team environment, and two, like, it's a lot more fun when you're working with other people, like, down in the trenches. So I knew right from the go. I looked at a lot of different, like, startup organizations and, like, you know, other groups and tried to see what they were doing. There's, like, you know, there's quite a few cosplay groups, and this is where, like, I picked a lot of Aloria's brain on this because she knew a lot of the, like, more notable cosplayers, especially when it came to groups.
Mm-hmm.
And then we tried to see what they were doing and, like, how to best, you know, promote them. I don't know if there's any specific influences, Maria. I'm trying to think.
Why?
A lot of it was.
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
A lot of it was throwing against the wall and seeing what stuck. Like, we knew we were doing something right with the cosplay stuff, but like, I constantly asked, like, my teammates for different ideas to see what we could do. Like, we did, like, a few cosplay music videos. We did a ton of photo shoots. But no real specific influence in mind, I would say.
Okay.
I still remember times where you might draw a comic out first or have an idea in your head, and then you would have the cosplay is at the top, but you haven't filled out the bottom yet, and then you would ask each of us for different ways to interpret the drawing, I guess, and then eventually that helps spark something within yourself that you think, oh, you know, this is the best wording to go along with the picture.
Yeah, in like the very early stages, after I did like the first wave comic, a lot of it was just me. I would do cosplay is like a blank template, and then I would submit it to my teammates and go, what do you guys think we should do? And they go, oh, draw this character, it's popular right now, and oh, maybe this cosplayer is cool, you should include her in a comic.
Okay, that's awesome. That's pretty cool. So, can you say your name again? Because I know I'm gonna mispronounce it.
My name?
Yeah.
Aloria.
Aloria.
The EI is like an A, so A and then Loria.
Gotcha. So, Aloria,
Yeah.
what, like, when did it hit for you? Because I know you came on later on when it started getting big, but what did it kind of hit for you in terms, like, the realization that this is becoming much bigger than where it initially started from?
For sure. So I think my first interactions with Kelvin was more related to photography. So we would meet up at cons and we would do photo shoots of whichever cosplay I was doing. And then following his page, I saw a lot of comics. So then I would share it either within my own friends group or on my page. And I think it came a point where I would be part of certain Facebook groups like the Anime North group or the Fan Expo group. And I would see a lot of other people sharing his comics as well. And a lot of people can relate to it. So I think it's probably around that point, probably around the same time when the page started blowing up too, where I recognized that, oh, it's not just me who enjoy it, but also a lot of people around me are finding his comics and really relating and enjoying it. So that's probably around that time, I would say.
Okay, interesting. Like I said, like, you know, when it blew up, like, you guys were blowing up in a much vast way than I think you guys expected from initially earlier. So I guess I'm reading between the lines in your comics, but do you guys? I mean, I from the picture already alone, Aloria, I could tell you cosplay. But Kelvin, do you cosplay?
I don't cosplay as much as I used to. Uh, my first splash into the cosplay community, yeah, it was actually with one of my close friends. She did wardrobe design, and she was like, "Hey, I'm going to a convention. Do you want to go? Do you want to cosplay with me?" At first thought, I was like, those people like I remember seeing those guys in high school. Those guys are weird. But
Oh,
yeah,
I didn't even know this.
that's a confession. I remember like in high school Kelvin, going to like Fan Expo or was it called Fan Expo back then? I think it was called like
Might have
something.
been like Toronto Comic Con or
Yeah, or
something.
something, or maybe see an anime. I think it was see an anime.
Mm.
Anyways, I'd go and I'd see these people dressed up. I thought it was the weirdest thing ever because I was just there to buy stuff. And then after university, my friend asked if I want to go to one. I'm like, you know what? I've got disposable income. Why not? And then she asked if I wanted to cosplay. So I'm like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, are you gonna make the costume? So she said yes, and it was a lot of fun. So I got really hooked on it. So we decided to cosplay again at Anime North, a convention that was in the summer. Um, but I always like photography more than I like cosplaying itself.
Mm.
So I don't know. I was always, and especially because like when people cosplay would come to take pictures of me, I was always like obsessed with how they're going to take the shot, how it was going to pose, but I couldn't control that. So
Make sure the ISO is on correctly.
yeah, like I'd be like, this guy's doing it wrong. It's like he's not like posing this way. He's not going to get the full frontal view, or it drove me insane. So eventually, it kind of came more to, especially with conventions. I'm really busy doing photo shoots as well.
Mhm.
So that's why I like having like my teammates with me because they usually handle the cosplay aspect. I am gonna. They were able to get me to convince to do a cosplay in the near future. I've made several promises for certain cosplays that they want me to join in. So I will be joining in the future, like and getting back into the game in terms of that.
Nice,
I think
nice.
doing cosplaying is quite a slippery slope. I think once you get started and get hooked, then it's harder to pull away
Yeah, I
from it.
know.
So I think you have yet to reach that point where you're going downhill. We gotta
I
push
did
you a little
manage
further this
I
year.
experimented briefly with cosplaying. I'm just reluctant to relapse back into my addiction. I think that's the best way to explain it.
You are forever.
We'll see.
You are forever a
Yeah.
changed man ever since that fateful day.
I still got my
It's
chip.
true.
Okay, I don't want to, I don't want to go back.
You were going too deep. That's cool though. I respect that. So
I still kind of live vicariously through them though, because every time like they do a cosplay or they now tell me their cosplay plans, I'll kind of like bully them into exactly who I want them to cosplay as. So I still get my kicks out of it sometimes.
nice. Um, so question for you, Aloria. How long have you been cosplaying for?
Let's see. I believe my first cosplay was in 2011 in the summer. And then I didn't really get into it as much until 2013 or so, because back then I would just do my own things. Whereas in 2013, I made a lot of friends at cons who eventually we formed small, I guess, units or groups where we would cosplay from the same series. And I think that really drew me into the community a lot more because it's really fun when you get into a group of people that are all really excited about a project and you spend hours and late nights planning things out and making things at each other's houses. So probably, I guess, 2 years experience and I guess taking it a bit more seriously. Mhm.
Awesome, awesome. Um, now I remember you guys talking about the conventions you attended to. I didn't notice we talked about this like prior to the show. You guys live in Canada. I did not even
Yep.
know that. I had thought you guys lived locally in the U.S. like somewhere.
Nope, we're up in the Great White North.
Great white, great, oh, I guess. We're still quite white, even in March.
Yep.
Right, right. So my question is like, what conventions do you guys usually attend to? And with the recent popularity of the Facebook page, have you ventured off to other conventions outside of Canada?
You can take this one, Aloria.
Sure. So definitely the bigger cons in our local area. So in May we have Anime North. I believe it's the most populated convention in Canada. And then since last year we also started attending Otakuthon, which is the large convention in Montreal. So they're all relatively within driving distance or by transit. Other than that, we also attend a lot of Comic Cons in our area. So the biggest one being Fan Expo in August, and then they also have these two I guess sub cons that happen twice a year, one in December and one in March. Other than that, so in terms of venturing out, so last year we made the venture outside of Ontario to attend Otakudan, and then this year, because a lot of people have been mentioning to us how great Katsucon was, so we actually managed to get a couple of us over there in mid-February, and that was really fun because we got to meet a lot of people that we've only known on the internet to actually meet them in person. So both photographer-wise, cosplayer-wise, and it was fun being recognized as well as Think New when we wander around holding our mascot Kogi, the white dog with the blue scarf. So
Awesome.
we definitely made a lot of new friends
Technically
there.
not a dog. Technically not a dog.
Is he?
Wait, what?
I
not
always
a-
thought
we-
he was
we-
a dog.
We agreed that Meilun and I actually, she's not in the conversation right now, but I have to give her partial credit. But she and I were the ones who designed the mascot together, and we agreed we were just going to keep it ambiguous, and that was going to be the running thing. No one knew exactly what it was. A bit of an
Right,
inside
Think New
joke.
spirit animal. We'll call him our spirit animal.
A bit of an inside joke is Kogi. The name I was the one who gave it the name. I'm Korean, and if our Korean followers are listening or hear this, they would know Kogi translated into Korean is the word meat. So it was kind of a running joke, and like that we would name our like little pet that we carry around like our emergency meat supply.
Is that why he's so chubby?
Yep.
Wow.
Needs to be very chubby so he can sustain us. You know, you've seen me eat at conventions or how little I eat.
Their lack of.
Yeah.
Yeah, but definitely, yeah, it's so different being at an American con just by the size and just the talent, both cosplayer-wise and photography-wise. I think it brings it up to a whole new level. So it's really hard being back home with either lack of cons or just that lack of inspiration. So we're really hoping that we can make it to a couple more American cons before the end of the year.
I don't know if it's just American con, because like personally, from my point of view, my favorite con is still Otakuthon in Quebec. I really enjoyed Katsucon. It was a really great experience for us. Otakuthon is still my favorite though, just because one, as a photographer, the scenery is gorgeous there. You're in Old Montreal, which has like a lot of great like Gothic architecture, so it's amazing for cosplays. There's like a courtyard just outside the hotel where you can do like from a fountain, and they've got like these really colorful hallways inside the building itself. So you're not just shooting with like the typical hotel carpeting, like lobby room that you get with most cons. Katsucon was still really nice though, but I still think Otakuthon is my favorite convention to date.
Nice. Awesome. I can definitely relate. I mean, majority of the conventions I've been to obviously have been in the U.S. And I can relate in terms of like going outside of my comfort zone in terms of other conventions. Like I went to in Seattle SoccerCon, one of my first conventions outside of California, and realizing how clean it was there. But it was really cool. It was really cool being there, and it was like totally different atmosphere, totally different scenery. So I could definitely relate. But that's cool. Like I'm happy to hear there's a lot of anime conventions happening in Canada.
Yeah, we're kind of lucky that we live in Toronto, because that seems to be like ground zero for cosplays growing out in all of Canada. Like Montreal, and another great thing about Otakuthon is you're in Montreal too. So, like, our point against Katsucon, finding food was a bit of an issue. If you remember, like we had to go inside the hotel and we couldn't find anything to eat. Otakuthon, where you're in downtown Montreal, so you basically get to eat at like all the fanciest places you want and all like the cool like touristy places.
Nice, awesome.
Friendly plug for Canadian cons.
Yeah, so honestly, if anyone's going to a convention, I'd recommend Otakuthon as like if you want the best cosplay experience.
If you were to come to Canada once, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because I've never been to Seattle, so I don't know what else there is much to do outside the convention besides. Yeah, I've never been to Seattle, so.
Right, no, it's cool. Like, definitely, if I happen to be up, or if anybody listening to this podcast happen to be up in Canada, definitely go check out these guys.
Well, we do have a lot of cosplayers coming across the border now, more and more. But hopefully, we're going to be going to more conventions in the States. So also be trying. So if you have any suggestions of where we should hit up, then let us know because we have no idea.
Oh man, I would off the top of my head, I have 2 to 3 conventions already suggestion for you. First up, for suggestion, I would say go to Dragon Con in Atlanta. Dragon
I
Con.
want to do. I want to do Dragon Con.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard so many stories about Dragon Con. Not only one, people call it. It's like if you want to have a good time, go to Dragon Con.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is, all my teammates like anime cosplays. And I don't hold that against them. I probably, if I known that, I may have thought twice before selecting them to join my team. But yeah, I'm a huge comic book fan. So whenever they announce me their cosplay, I always have a slight sliver of hope, hoping I'll see something from the comic books. But no, it's always going to be some kind of magical fairy girl or anime like superhero main character type.
Mm-hmm.
No chance of seeing kind of spandex or capes and tights, unfortunately, on our team.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Dragon Con seems to be the convention where if you want to see like a lot of more Western cosplay, you should definitely hit that one up. That's what a lot of people have told us. So I definitely want to check that out as soon as I can.
Definitely. Dragon Con is up there. I would say the number 2 spot, which would be a convention I'm actually attending to, my first time this year, San Diego Comic-Con, the mecca of comics.
Yeah.
And all
that
things
just seems
glory.
like I've heard people have told us to go to that con if we want our full con experience. I just feel like it'd be like literally fish out of water. Like I would we were like surprised about the scope of Katsucon. I don't know how we'd cope in San Diego.
Mm-hmm. 100K plus attendees.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's you're basically in your own little like private city. It's like the Vatican essentially, like where it's just its own little thing.
San Diego just becomes Comic-Con. Like the entire city just turns into,
Yeah.
for that 1 week. It is just Comic-Con, not only at the convention, but like in other places surrounding the area. And then it's like it stretches from just the convention itself. There are like restaurants that are having discounts for people who are attendees. There are outside events held by third parties that are doing their thing. Like literally, the city of it just turns into that week.
It's season 2 of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's basically Battle City.
Yes.
There you go.
And then the third convention I would suggest you guys go to, and this is only because this convention is a little sentimental to my heart because it was my first big convention, is Fanime in San Jose, in California.
Shelly, you want to take that?
Fanime's always been a struggle because Fanime is always the same weekend as Anime North. So some people have made the sacrifice of going to Fanime, but we still haven't found that balance for ourselves to miss out on our biggest con to go. Because I've heard really good things about Canadians who have gone, saying that it's one of, if not their most favorite American con. But yeah, it's too difficult making that decision, at least for now.
I understand. It's kind of a hard decision to make. Like, should I stay in Canada and go to this convention, or should I cross the states to California, which may end up being a little costly, but we'll still have a good time at San Jose. I definitely don't.
Well, I don't think we're ever going to worry about having a good time at Fanime. We've heard like nothing but good things about it. It's just we're literally flying across the continent in order to get there.
Yeah.
During one of our busiest times that week, because Anime North and then Otakuthon's like right after that, isn't it?
It's August. It's early August this year.
Okay, so
first weekend of.
I don't think we can make it this year, but if we will definitely try. I do know like a lot of people have suggested that convention, and it seems that's the general case. Everyone who's been there say it becomes very dear to their heart.
It does. But like I said, so many conventions, so little time. You can only attend so many before you realize that your bank account is at zero. So yeah, that's
Fair enough. You should make a comic about that, or you probably have. I
probably have. It's kind of funny when I don't even have to reply to some people anymore when they'll like complain about some of my friends who are cosplayers, they'll make a status complaining about their cosplay situations. I can also just post my comic and I don't even have to come up with a reply because the comic says everything.
Speaking of which, actually, so more about the webcomic that you do, Kelvin. What is usually the process for making one?
It's not really a set process. People think like there's some kind of genius behind it. There's really not. It's usually two things. Either usually I'll get like a random inspiration, going, oh wow, this would be a hilarious situation that I could see happening, or I'll remember something from an experience I was engaging in. More commonly, every time I go to a convention, I'll run into some kind of mishap. So I'll be like, wait, this like after the dust settles, I'll be like, wait, this was a great idea for a comic.
That's awesome. That's great. I think the best moments to kind of capture that is at conventions, because like there's always something wacky or something crazy that happens at conventions, and it's like, yeah, that happened right in front of me. So yeah.
Yeah. The comic I just posted about like how cosplay is not being meant for hugging, that actually happened at a convention I went to a few months ago.
Oh.
And what happened was like I finished a photo shoot with this one cosplayer, and she was really happy with some of the preview shots, and she just like straight up hugged me. The description's in the comic itself, but just to reiterate, like what happened was her convention badge thing got tangled up with mine, and then it kind of hooked into her like chest plate.
Oh.
So when she was like when she was like pulling away from the hug, I realized like her top was like literally about to come off. So it was like an incredibly awkward experience with me trying to like press up against her so that we didn't make it even more awkward. And it's funny because I was horrified, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm like, this would make a really funny comic.
And the best part is every time you post a comic, a lot of people share what their own experiences are related to it, and we got a lot of really funny replies too. I don't know if you've seen them yet. Yeah.
Especially the one where cosplaying with someone you love is great because we get all these cosplay couples posting their own pictures, which then I could steal from my own ideas to make use for future comics.
Disclaimer. You should put that on the page.
Full disclaimer. It's like, yeah, don't worry about us taking away your ideas. Yeah, sure. So, about your photography, Kelvin, when did you start doing photography?
Well, it's hard to say. I'd probably say in university. It's kind of weird. Ever since I was a little kid, ever since I was a little kid, I was like a huge Spider-Man fan. And one of the things I loved about him was that he was like a freelance photographer. I didn't even know what the word freelance meant, but I thought that was cool.
Cool.
And do you remember? I don't know if you saw. Do you remember like the '90s Spider-Man cartoon?
Oh yeah. Where everybody's like ridiculously buff for no odd reason. Like
yeah. Like Peter Parker, he had like that really like fancy camera, and it, you see it in the opening when he's taking pictures, and like as a kid, that left a huge impression on me. I always wanted it. So high school, like first paycheck, I saved that some money, and I buy my first camera.
Awesome.
And then from there, like I didn't know how to use it, but I tried it out a few times. I got a few like paid gigs doing like freelance photography there. And then after university, I kind of got like I didn't really have much opportunity to do photography because I was working full time, and I didn't have a lot of time to not a lot of people need my skills outside of like a school setting. So conventions kind of dragged me back in, and like thank God they did, because I don't know, I feel like my photography skills would have just stagnated. And then because I love cosplay photography because there's no other really type of photography which requires you to make a character like shoot fire out of their hands or like be covered in blood, really, unless you're into some film. But no, that's definitely why I love doing cosplay photography, because I get that kind of creative opportunity. And it's also a great thing because like whenever I do photo shoots for a client, they're just expecting an amazing piece of work. But when I ever do photo shoots with cosplayers, they're always so happy whenever I submit the results, and they get really excited. Even my own teammates, like, granted, sometimes they start taking me for granted and expect me to do certain stuff. But,
you're our go-to guy now.
But like, it's also really cool, working really hard on a piece and then sending it to a cosplayer, and then they're like, holy geez, it's like, I can't believe you were able to add in all these cool effects and all that. And it's a really nice feeling. And then they post it, and I get to read all the comments of them go, oh, wow, you look amazing, or something like that. And then I take like a certain amount of pride to it.
That's awesome.
For sure.
That is great to hear.
Yeah.
Ori, when he was like, I assume he did a photo shoot of you when you're cosplaying, right? Like, what was like when your first interaction with him when he was doing his photo shoot? I mean, you saw it finished and done. What was your like initial reaction?
I think from the very first photo shoot we did together to now, I think there's definitely a huge change. I think both because personal relationships, that we're more comfortable with each other, and also that because of that comfort, I can challenge him to do things outside of his comfort zone, and he does the same back to me.
That's
too.
a nice way of
And
saying
so,
when I first took the picture she didn't like them, and then now she likes them. And I do what she
Maybe.
wants.
Still remember, so the first shoot we did was at Fan Expo, I think 2013, when our group did our first shoot with you, and you started off your shoot being like, oh, just do 1 or 2 poses that you're comfortable with. So I would do them, and then right away you'd snap into work mode, be like, okay, this is how you should do your next pose. You should put your arm here. Okay, raise it higher. Okay, turn your body 45 degrees. Turn your head this way. And like he had a very, I guess, routine way of doing it, which he knows that it will turn out well for the cosplayers. And then from now, where our shooting process, we've done shoots where, for my Chibiro shoot and for No Game No Life, we shot in the quiet library at a nearby university where we couldn't talk because there were other students. So we did a lot of hand gesturing and a lot of, I guess, guesswork between us, but the photos still turned out really well. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Really
Doing
well.
different
I think
lighting.
those were like your most popular. That was your most popular shoot you did.
It worked out, but it was a pretty big experiment for us too, and
Yeah.
doing like flashy, sparkly shoots versus more dark, gory shoots. I think it's been really fun experimenting with Calvin. I think compared to some other photographers, I wouldn't be as comfortable with. I think there's something, I guess, different about our work relationship that makes it really fun outside of, I guess, typical photo shoots. Mm-hmm.
So
Also, she knows exactly what I'm gonna say. Like we could probably play like some kind of like weird game of bingo with like certain phrases I always say during photo shoots, like open your eyes slightly wider, tilt your head 45 degrees to the left, tilt your head slightly 45 degrees back, arch your back, arch your back. I always get them to arch your back.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So my follow-up question about that actually, because I remember seeing that photo. How did you manage to get inside the library with the costume on? Like, did you change in the bathroom and come out, or was it initially just kind of walk in and, find a spot where they can't see you? Like,
I think that's really great about Eloria and me is and how we work together is she's usually not shy about looking like dressing up in public and walking around.
Mm-hmm.
I think I usually get more like I feel more awkward than she does. I remember when we went to meet up for that shoot, I had to meet up with them because I was coming from my apartment and they were coming from theirs, and I was trying to find them, and I just see them coming right off the subway in full cosplay gear out in public. And yeah, she didn't seem to. She got some like people were staring, but she didn't seem to mind.
of course.
And then
Yeah,
yeah.
probably because the costumes I choose are usually more, I guess, reserved or they're appropriate for the general public, I guess. Even though the wig color might be really off or it'll definitely look different, but not explicit to that degree. Plus, I don't live in Toronto proper, but I live a bit far away. So usually for cons, I take public transit over. So I think just over time, the convenience of not having to change in public kind of outweighed maybe looking a little odd on the way over. So eventually that hasn't been an issue for me. At least everyone's been really nice about it. I haven't had any issues in public.
Yeah. And then for me, generally also my rule for photo shoots is always ask for forgiveness, not permission. So we kind of just walked into the library and started shooting, and no one seemed to bother us. We just kept doing it.
I think I asked first, or sometime in the middle. Yeah, I told them that we were hoping to take some photos. We won't disturb people. Just kind of like general courtesy, I guess. And they were really nice about it.
That's the other reason why she's part of the team. She handles all that stuff. I don't really think of her.
I handle PR.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. Because there's definitely times where whenever I wear something in public, going to conventions from like a neighborhood to the con, it's like, yeah, just the general rule of like I'm gonna be stared at anyway, so might as well rock it. So yeah, I can relate.
It's not so much of a problem with Aloria or the other, like most of the other teammates. It's Kohi, the other guy on our team. That's the issue because he has like a huge like obsession with like gun cosplays. So he's always carrying around like handguns or sniper rifles. And we always have to like keep that in mind, especially if we're going to be traveling more across the border into the States. We have to like look into that kind of policy.
Oh yeah. United States is they're kind of like on that stuff pretty well at cons as of late.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely if he comes over, keep that in mind for sure. So
Pretty sure he brought a replica for concert.
I don't know. He just shows up. I don't even know where he hides that stuff.
in a secret
Secret.
compartment, like
Yeah.
pops it out of his jacket. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, hey, what's
magic
this?
satchel.
So Kevin wanted to ask, so recently you've been putting up videos of how you process your photos, and people have been asking for this, but are you going to continue to do more of these videos of how you process your photos?
I am going to. There's just the only issues is one, they take a while to do, just because uh, I don't have a clean, in those videos I'm lucky because I get to work with like Aloria or another good friend of ours, Mizuno Cosplay. He's the one who did that Vincent Valentine cosplay that everyone was going nuts about, I remember. But I usually tend to know them pretty well, so I know exactly how to edit them almost right away. Whereas most of my photos, it tends to be a lot of trial and error. Like I'll try one thing, I won't like it, so I'll delete it and then I'll start again. So it takes a while for me to get that perfect video down, and just to make sure the entire process so people can look at it and understand the process I went to make that kind of photo. The other thing is I haven't streamlined the way I do it yet. I kind of just, I just record my videos, and hopefully if something turns out well by the end of it, I'll keep it and I'll post the video.
Okay.
Also, they take forever to upload. Even if it's like a 3-minute song video, it takes me I sometimes have to upload it overnight because my internet is terrible.
Okay.
But yeah, one of the big things we're trying to do is we're trying to make more of an effort to do videos as well, just because I feel that's another kind of great content. And a lot of people, some are, excuse me, some of the people I worked with at Katsucon, they didn't even know I did comics. Some people know me just from my photos, which is incredibly flattering. So I know there's an audience out there. It's just I need to find time to do it.
For sure.
Mhm.
If there's one thing that people have really enjoyed is your videos, alongside everything else you guys have been doing so far. So, in terms of you guys been to conventions for over a while, like what any particular con moments that stick out to you, like during your times at said convention?
A lot. I don't know. Can you think of anything, Aloria?
Probably more recently, I feel like Katsu has been the big highlight of my con career to date, just because there have been so many people I either follow on the internet or I've seen them friends of our friends, and to actually meet them in person and to make new friends has been a really great experience. So I think that's kind of pivoted me to a new level where I kind of feel like I want to attend more outside of my local area. So I think definitely meeting like GQ Bravo at Katsucon and doing a photo shoot with him, doing a photo shoot with Soriero Days. They're both, I guess, photographer senpais of mine. So both Rushka and I doing photo shoots with them was a huge highlight. So I guess being kohais and meeting senpais has been a big thing for me.
That's cool.
Me, it's a lot more like I'm usually because her, it's usually at conventions. She's just meeting up with her friends and going to do photo shoots. Whereas I'm a lot more work minded when I'm at conventions. So my stories tend to be a bit more hectic or stressful. I remember Anime North last year. I made the mistake of wearing a tank top, and Anime North is kind of affectionately called. It's like parking lot con because it's in the summer, and a lot of the kind of people who attend the conventions, they spend a lot of the time outside in the massive parking lot. So I spent all weekend doing photo shoots in the blazing sun, and then when we got back to the hotel room and I went to change, I had the most awkward sunburn ever because I was wearing a tank top. So that was a lot of fun. And also because
But at least your tank top, at least that scar looks normal. Whereas for us, because we were wearing different cosplays, like mine was I was doing Blake from Ruby, so my arm, it had straps from the elbow down to the wrist. So my tan mark looked like I was in some kind of bondage weird thing going on there. So it was really weird walking in public with that the following week.
Explaining to people exactly how we had those weird things. We had one friend who did she put fake tattoos on her arm for a cosplay. But the problem is I guess those tattoos also act as a kind of sunblock. So when she washed the tattoos away, you had these weird swirl patterns on her arm. So it was actually we would not let her live it down because she could not wear t-shirts for a week afterwards. But that's kind of the price you pay in summer cons. Winter cons were just as bad. We did at FrostCon, kind of appropriately named. basically, Ilori and I were trying to find a place to do a photo shoot, but we couldn't find any due to lighting, so we went outside, and it was like freezing cold. This was during like one of the coldest winters in Canada, and that's saying something.
Wow.
And she's wearing like really like shoulderless. You were Kyoko, right?
Yeah, I was doing Kyoko from
Yeah.
Madoka.
It was like freezing cold, but we were able to get that done.
Wow.
I think I reached a point where I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, that was kind of worrisome, but I realized she wasn't complaining and she wasn't shivering while we were posing her, so I just rolled with it.
It was pretty fun. May not do it again, but it was fun.
I'm trying to think of other ones. There's your Crystal Maiden shoot was kind of funny because we weren't shooting during a convention. We were just shooting on a regular weekend in a trail.
Yeah, so that was the week. That was a week before TI4 when I was flying out, and I wanted to print small cause cards to give out during the expo. So we went to a nearby trail near my school campus, which in the middle of the summer was blazed with mosquitoes everywhere. But we climbed through hills to kind of, I guess, mimic the field in Dota. So it was a fun trail hike with lots of mosquito bites, which followed. Painful week. Having those bites during TI4 was not fun either.
Awesome.
Yeah, and you're also wearing like a ton of fur on that cosplay too. That looked weird. I had to Photoshop and edit that one. Katsucon, actually, one funny story during Katsucon was actually one of the things I do is like I always like to shoot from a higher angle. So I'm always climbing stuff to try to get that perfect angle to shoot from a downwards so I can like, get that kind of like more like, I guess more like appealing look. It's just a style I like. One of the problems was like I climbed up like the side of this one like small little building to get a shot. I say building, it wasn't that high up, but halfway through I tripped and I fell right back down and I hit my head.
Oh, wow.
It's like people like crowding me all over, but I was like, people are gonna be freaking out. I have to play this cool. So I kind of just like stood up, pretending like nothing was happening. I picked a flower from like the garden or something like that and handed it to the person who's like trying to like help me up. Just like so she didn't freak out, but I was like, I was kind of worried, like I was slightly concussed because looking back, that doesn't seem like a really normal thing to do.
Sounds
But,
pretty
yeah.
out of character.
I was just like, okay, your head's ringing, but pretend it's okay. And then, I was like, give her a flower, she'll be okay, and then they'll pretend, they'll just move on, and I can keep going with my shoot. And then I just finished the rest of my photo shoot with like my ears ringing. And then afterwards, I like lied down back at the hotel room, and I was fine.
But was your camera okay?
Yeah, my camera was okay. Yeah, I found it recently. Like I instinctively like curl into a ball around my camera so that it's always fine. Oh, that same weekend I broke my other lens. That was annoying because I forgot to zip up my bag. I was
A
like,
lot of our friends had damaged equipment throughout
Yeah.
Katsucon.
we called that convention Cursed Con because something bad happened to everyone.
Wow.
I broke like some of my gear. One of our other friends, Kimchi for You Cosplay, he was staying at another hotel room, but he actually left his jacket there after his friends had checked out, and his passport was in that jacket.
Oh.
So that was a nightmare.
Wow.
Our friends' buses got canceled.
Yeah, our teammates because that was
Flights
during
got
snowstorm.
canceled.
Yeah,
That's
that was a really weird con. And it's weird because we want to go back.
We'd forgotten about that. Yeah, selectively.
Wow, that's hilarious. But that's awesome too. There's definitely one thing that I love I could mention is like there's never a dull moment in any given point in time.
You'll always have a good story to tell by the end of the weekend.
Agreed. So in terms of thinking you and the brand, do you think that are you going to keep up and potentially keep this going and turn this from a side project into maybe a full-on job in the future, or you're just keeping it as more of a hobby and a side project?
It's kind of hard to say, just because the way I treat it, and my teammates will attest to this, is even with my hobbies, I tend to treat everything like really seriously, like work-related. Like I've never been one of those people who could just go and have fun. Really, I've always been one of kind of those who very goal-oriented. What am I going to do? How can I do this better? Like essentially, like that's how Think New came about in terms of the cosplay community. It wasn't just me. Like I went and cosplayed, but then I was like, okay, how can I take this to the next step? And of course, like with the comics, it could have just stayed that, but immediately we sat down and saying, okay, comics are doing really well, and we do have a lot of great followers. What do they want to see from us? What else can we do? And we do essentially treat it like almost like a full-time job, despite we all do work full-time in our own respective career paths. but we also treat things pretty seriously as well. Kohi, he handles all the accounts, and whenever we launch products, he's the one who looks into shipping, and he's got spreadsheets that look confusing to me but make sense to him with macros and numbers, and he's the one who handles all that and keeps the accounts balanced. Aloria is constantly researching for new conventions for us to attend, who we should get in touch with, and she also manages a lot of like the more in between stuff. Like I'm not very good with handling a lot of the PR end of stuff, so she takes care of that as well, and they keep me updated. So we do treat it pretty much like a full-time career, even though it is like a side project for us. So to answer your question, I don't know like if we're ever going to see this as a career thing. I feel it's just going to be a gradual thing as opposed to one day we wake up and decide to take it more seriously, because from the get-go, we've just treated it like a job, essentially.
Okay. I think time will tell for sure.
Yeah, hopefully. It would be great to do this constantly 24/7.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, who wouldn't want to do that,
Yeah.
In terms of, like, you guys going to cons, or even outside of cons, like, have people recognize you, like, either in cosplay or outside of cosplay, in terms of, like, if you guys worked on Thinking New? Like, has that ever occurred? And, like, the general feeling of fans coming up and saying, like, oh, I really love your webcomic series, oh, I really love photography, and all that jazz.
We've been starting to get more recognized outside, like, it's a bit difficult because I'm not, I don't really put myself in the front, like, I post constantly, and people, read the stuff I write, but I don't really post a lot of my own personal, like, content. Like, I don't post a lot of selfies or anything like that. I usually leave that up to, like, Aloria and all that, so it's funny because we usually hang out together at conventions, and people will rush up to Aloria going, oh my god, you're Thinking, we love you, or something like that, and they will have no idea who I am. I'm just an Asian guy with a camera standing next to her. They have no idea who I am, so that's actually one thing where I'm kind of grateful where we have our mascot. We actually, I don't know if you noticed, but we have Kogi, who we bring around with us at a lot of our conventions, and a lot of people do tend to recognize us from that.
Awesome. It's funny how you describe that as if you're the Grand Wizard of Oz, just like sitting behind the curtains. Like, yes, you don't know who I am, but I've created everything you see here.
Just like the Grand Wizard, I'm this tiny guy, old guy who no one really understands, and they're surprised when they see me, and they're a bit slightly disappointed.
Yeah, it was interesting because at Katsucon it was the first time we experimented with having a fan meet or just a gathering there. So on the Saturday, I think we posted on our page and various other places that we wanted to have a gathering where Calvin can take pictures of people who enjoy his photography, or they can just come up and say hi, since it was our first time being in the States. And actually a lot of people came by either for comics or for photos, and I guess we were just kind of overwhelmed with people who we've never met or spoken, or they've commented on the page but we never met before, who felt that the comics really made an impact. And I still remember one girl specifically, because we brought a couple of T-shirts that Calvin's designed, because some people wanted to get them from us at the con, and she bought it from us. She said really nice words, and then she went upstairs, changed, came back to show us, just to kind of show her appreciation for everything. So I think that really stuck with me about kind of both our impact and just how we are embraced in the community. And I think it was really flattering and humbling to be part of that experience.
Yeah, it was really lucky for us. Like, up till now, I always just thought people, were purchasing the shirt because it related to them as, cosplayers. And they were also purchasing my designs because they related to them, especially with the comics. But it never really occurred to me that people were doing it because, they saw what we were doing was something, they want to push forward and be a part of. And I think that's one great thing that makes Think New kind of different as opposed to a lot of other cosplay communities or pages is they know, like, a lot of the content, we create all our own content when we promote it, and every picture that we post, we've taken ourselves. So a lot of cosplayers know that, if they get to meet us, they get to work with us, anything we upload is also supporting them in our own way. And, and they also know the ideas that we're promoting. We're trying to create like a positive idea of cosplay and how fun it is, how much we love it. And they know just by supporting us, they're also like, validating their own hobby in their own way. It's not just, like to promote Facebook pages, or it's not just, hopefully, maybe they'll like I'll get a free photo shoot from them if I comment a lot. They kind of see the value in what we do and they want to support us. It's really weird because like up till now, like no one's really ever done what we're trying to do. Like that might sound kind of arrogant, but it's kind of exciting that way, knowing that we have so much support from our cosplayers.
I definitely agree. I think that what you guys are doing are completely different than what you would see other cosplay Facebooks are out there. Majority of the Facebook cosplayers I've seen, are generally, they do it by themselves. Like, sure, they're good cosplays, but it's only particular one person. Well, thinking you is more a kind of a celebration of the hobby, and sharing those experiences with other cosplayers, and having that connection. That's what makes this Facebook group a lot different than others, and it has shown through the explosion of what happened to you guys for your Facebook and everything else. So I definitely get what you're saying. I think that's a great message to definitely strive, not only in this podcast but for everybody.
We do feel we're so incredibly blessed because that people came forward to support us so much. Katsucon was a huge relief for that because people came forward and they're like, we love your work, we've always been following you guys. And, I always, like, sometimes because, maybe because it's cynical, I'm always like, okay, what, do they need something from us or are they asking for something for us? But a lot of times they're like, no, we love what you guys are doing, keep doing it, let us know how we can help. And it was kind of really touching to see that in Katsucon, especially because it was our first U.S. con. A lot of these people we've never met or we've never actually personally got to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. So I have two more questions left. So ever since Think and You has exploded on Facebook with the cosplay community and with cosplayers, and with the popularity of the Facebook, has it changed you guys in any way?
No, how has it changed you? Because you tend, to have a lot more of a busy social life than me.
Marginally. I think it's just really fun because being part of Think New means being part of a team, and it's always fun when we sit down. We try to think of something new that we can do, some creative ideas that we can bring forth and make happen. And sure, there were a lot of late nights, a lot of frantic trying to get everything together, but I think each time something really fun has happened, and definitely a lot of things to look forward to, like our first official group cosplay, I guess, including Kelvin, who never wears a wig, that we're trying to bring onto the dark side. Definitely going to new cons. Yeah, I feel like every step we take just opens up more doors and more options for us, so it's always really exciting to be part of that, I guess, that drive where we always want to excel and improve ourselves.
Yeah, for me, like, on a very fundamental level, I don't sleep that much anymore. Just because, like, I work full-time in my actual job, and then literally right when I get home, I log on and I've got to draw, tomorrow's comic, or we've got to get our next order of shirts in, and it's constantly working. Like, I have become a lot better at time management, and I feel like it's kind of interesting because, like, I'm kind of working as, like, in a more managerial role because I've gotten used to, before this, I was always more pressure to, like, do all the work myself, but ever since I've, made Think Me more of a team-oriented dynamic, I've gotten more used to handing stuff off to them, and, oftentimes the work I give them, it comes back better than the stuff I could have done, and it's definitely helped me change as, like, a person, just because I've become a lot more trusting with people when I'm handling with my work. I do treat it like a full-time job, so I feel like I have no time for anything now. Drawing used to be just a hobby for me, but now it's pretty much work. So sometimes I become incredibly aware that I have no, like, hobbies outside of Think New in my full-time job. So sometimes I do get into, like, bouts of depression where it's like, I have to draw because I have to get this done. But at the end of the day, no regrets. I get to do something incredibly exciting every day and wake up. And I can have these ideas. I know people are going to be interested in them. My parents have pretty much given up on me ever getting married, unfortunately, just because I'm so fixated on this right now, and they're at that age where they're like, you're meeting all these people, why don't you, try, get to know them socially, but I just don't have any time anymore.
Right.
Work.
Definitely.
Yeah. As for my teammates, like, I feel like ever since originally they were always just friends, right? And we'd always hang out periodically in cosplay or otherwise. But I feel like ever since we started working as a team, we've gotten a lot closer. And it's a really interesting dynamic what we do right now because like one of the great things is working together is we're trying to achieve this singular goal. And you don't really have that. You're not so goal-oriented with your regular friends, right? You're not always thinking of the next project you guys are working on together and how much you can trust them. And it's a really kind of a unique experience having so many people I'm close with, also trusting them to work on these projects. And it also means we have to be really open to each other. We all get along pretty well. And if, like, so many times, I'll be stressed out about something and Lori will tell me what I'm doing. Like, she doesn't agree with the way I'm doing something. And she's never been reluctant to tell me if she doesn't approve of some, like, maybe she doesn't like a design or she thinks I'm not doing a good job with how it looks. And same way, I'll give honest feedback to her. So we do it's a kind of a weird dynamic where it's almost like a family where we're very open to each other and we talk to each other. And it's kind of unique that it's kind of different from just regular friendships.
Okay.
It's something I never really thought about, but it was really great, like we've all become such close friends because of it. And, we see each other like constantly and we're always planning on these kind of things. They definitely give me a lot of new options in terms of pushing me to do skills and create new kind of techniques I've never really experienced before. I feel like if I was just working on my own, I would just be doing with whatever I'm comfortable with. But then, Aloria or Kohi or Malin and my other teammates would just come in and go, we want to come up with this idea. Can you do this? We're working on, in the future, we're looking to make some short films based on some of our more favorite franchises. And I'm learning a lot about video editing now. And it's really exciting, but I feel like the biggest thing that's changing me from Think New is, working in that more team environment with people I care about, and also, seeing how that reflects on me.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Wow. I didn't expect that response, but that's great. It's awesome. So my final question for both of you is, out of everything that's happened to you guys this far, like, what is your general thoughts of everything? Like, when it's all said and done, like, what is generally just going through your mind, like, every other day when you see all the support and love for this Facebook page that everybody recognizes, to which it was something small but exploded to something much larger than intended?
I definitely feel being part of Think New gives us a unique position in the community where we can collaborate with cosplayers, we can collaborate with photographers, we can collaborate with people at home and abroad. So definitely want to try to reach out to people as much as we can in the next year and beyond. We always get a lot of feedback no matter what we post, be it comics or photos or questions, and fans from all over the world are giving us suggestions as to places we can go, things we can do, and definitely amongst ourselves we also have a lot of plans in terms of our own cosplay agenda to try and up our level or skills, I guess, on trying to do more narrative approaches to photo shoots or videos. I guess my perspective on Think New is I always see it as a safety net and a community where I can share with them my thoughts, things I've enjoyed about the community, and always have that available feedback from the fans, and to have that encouragement I think is really valuable. And with Calvin too, I think every new idea he has, it sparks amongst ourselves. We add to each other's ideas, we brainstorm, and we try to make more and more creative ideas come to light. So definitely that's something to look forward to. I think I can't really envision how Think New will become because it's so fluid in my mind that it can take several directions from here on. So definitely a lot of input from ourselves, a lot of input from our fans will help us make that difficult decision of what to make of it in the future.
Wow. Kelvin, thoughts?
What was the question again? Sorry, I'm just so focused on what you were saying. I'm like, she's saying all the good stuff. Wait, what was the question? Right, so...
question was overall
just
thoughts.
So I can recollect my thoughts?
Yeah, so the question was your overall thoughts on everything thus far with Think New.
I think probably the best thing Think New's done is it's given me, like, it's as cliche as it sounds, it's given me like a bigger sense of purpose. Like it's such an exciting opportunity. I mean, looking back, all I had to do was, not go home that night and draw like 50 other comics, and I probably would still be working my regular job, going home, watching TV or something like that. But now, like, yeah, it's hard work, but I'm so grateful that I was able, like, how many people get the chance to take something like this, throw all of their passion into it? Like, my greatest complaint is I'm so busy doing stuff I love, you know? It's kind of exciting to do that. And Think New's been giving me like such a great opportunity to like take everything I love and turn it into something that people can appreciate. Like, it easily could have gone some other way. I could, I could have just been working at a job I disliked, which technically I still do. But I also have like this creative side passion that I can just keep pushing and driving everything I need into it. I have like amazing teammates who do all the boring stuff like taxes and paperwork and, filing like airplane tickets and all that.
And talking to people.
Exactly, yeah. I'm trying to work on that better. But, that's like 90% of the reason why I asked Lori to join, because she's better at talking to people than me.
I see. Okay.
I'm here
So,
for
like,
moral support.
But like, I mean, just thinking of this right now, like the idea that someone contacts us and go, hey, I actually value your opinion and the work you're doing. Can I interview you? That seems like such a crazy... If I went back to like, first year university, come and go, someone's going to message you saying, hey, I think you have a great story to tell. Why don't we're going to interview later, And like, like high school Kelvin or whatever would have been like, you're crazy, like you don't even know what you're doing right now. But now it's like I'm working on stuff I love. I'm constantly drawing and taking pictures, and I don't have to worry about a job right now because I'm working full time. Like everything seems like this thing has given me so much that I'm just incredibly grateful.
Well, it has been my pleasure for you guys to be on this podcast to talk everything about.
Yeah, thank you for inviting us.
Hopefully
yeah, really
we didn't
fun.
ramble too much. I've been mentally kicking myself. I'm like, no, you already said that. Like last question or something.
No, it's
be more
fine.
funny.
No, it's perfectly fine. Anything goes on this podcast. So like, thank you again. You guys have been great, and I really enjoyed our entire podcast conversation. Before we go, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find us at our Facebook page right now. People have been asking us about a website. Again, we haven't fixed the problem. None of our teammates know how to make a website. We're working on that. But they can still find us at facebook.com/thinknew, think.new.official. And that's where we're updating our most stuff. You can also find us on our Instagram account under Instagram/thinknew, where we're constantly posting a bit more casual sides of ourselves. And
usually if we're at cons, we might post selfies or updates on where we are. So if we wanted to meet us in person, that's probably the best way to find us.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, just follow our Facebook page, which I'm sure a lot of people listening will know about this. And we love meeting new people constantly, so don't be afraid to leave a comment. I actually remember, like, you were one of our earliest followers during that whole bump thing. Didn't you get, weren't you, like, a special number in terms of likes? Something like that?
You know what? Now I think about it, I think I was. I
remember you comment saying, hey, I guess I'm numbered whatever. Something like that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Oh, you're totally right.
Yeah, see, I remember completely useless stuff like that, okay? Lori will come to me and go like, did you remember to double check, the deadline date for, submitting your design? And I will have completely forgot. But I will still remember that you were like I want to say you were our 1,000th fan or something like that. I want to say.
Yeah.
It may have been. It was one of those nice round numbers. But yeah, I'll remember stuff like that, but the important stuff, no. That's why I have my teammates for.
Dang, but I think that's part of what's special, right? That, Kelvin, you have such a special connection with everyone.
Follow me on Twitter at @DetectiveNaruto. You can follow the work that I do and this podcast on our website at missionstartpodcast.com. Definitely check out the website. You have some reviews, previews on the coming their way, as well as convention coverage that we are starting to get the ball rolling. It is the beginnings of the convention season, and MSP is ready and willing to go. So that's happening at some point. But yeah, definitely check it out. Also, remember, subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher. I think that's about it. But again, thank you guys for joining me for this podcast. I really had a lot of fun talking to both of you.
We had a lot of fun talking to you.
Thank you. And
Thanks, Anthony, for hosting us. Yeah.
First podcast, like, didn't know how this would go, but this felt pretty cool.
Oh man, yeah. For somebody like me who's been podcasting for 9 years, like I never get tired of it. It's always fun to do it every time. But with that.